The stadium lights pulsed like a heartbeat. 40,000 voices rose in unison, every lyric, every note bouncing back to the stage in waves that could be felt as much as heard. Taylor Swift stood under the brilliance of the spotlight, her sequined dress catching sparks of gold as she strummed her guitar. For a moment, she let the crowd take over the chorus, their devotion wrapping around her like a second skin. But then, through the glittering blur of lights and faces, she noticed something unusual. Near the edge of the floor section, where fans leaned against the barricades, a small figure stood out, not because of size, she was tiny compared to the towering adults, but because of her voice. Taylor could see her lips moving, perfectly in sync with the song, even when the crowd's volume dipped. The girl sang with a force that seemed bigger than her body, clutching a hand-painted sign that shimmered in pink glitter. "I sing because you made me believe." Taylor's strumming faltered for the briefest second. A ripple of confusion passed through the band, but she picked up quickly. Still, her eyes kept returning to the child. She was no older than 9. Brown curls framed her round face, and her eyes glistened with something beyond excitement, something deeper, rawer. She wasn't just a fan singing along, she was pouring out her heart. Taylor stepped back from the microphone, the words catching in her throat. The crowd continued without her, their voices filling the void. And then suddenly, Taylor stopped. She lowered her guitar, lifted a hand, and the music halted like a clock whose gears had frozen. A hush spread across the stadium. Taylor's voice cracked, carried by the stillness. "Wait, can we stop for just a second?" Tens of thousands of fans exchanged confused looks. Security tensed, unsure of what was happening. Taylor pointed toward the girl, her hands trembling slightly. "You," she said, her voice breaking into tears. "The little one with the glitter sign. What's your name?" The spotlight, as if it had heard her, swung across the crowd and landed on the child. She froze, her tiny shoulders rising as the world around her gasped. A man beside her, her father, nudged her gently, whispering something. She cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted with a wavering voice, "Lily!" The crowd erupted in cheers. Taylor pressed a hand against her chest, tears now slipping freely down her cheeks. "Lily," Taylor whispered into the mic, though it felt like she was speaking only to her. "You're singing every word like it matters. Why?" The father lifted Lily up onto his shoulders. The microphone was passed down from a crew member, and Lily's small hands wrapped around it, trembling. Her voice shook as she answered, "Because my mom used to sing your songs with me. She's in heaven now, but I promised I'd keep singing." The stadium fell silent again. Thousands of fans who had come expecting glitter and fireworks now found themselves in the grip of something achingly human. Taylor's knees nearly buckled. She placed her guitar down carefully, as if setting aside something sacred. "Lily," she said softly, "your mum is so proud of you right now. I can feel it." And then Taylor did something she had never done before in all her years of touring. She descended from the stage, security parting the sea of fans. She made her way directly to Lily. The cameras followed, magnifying every tear, every tremble on the massive screens above. When she reached Lily, she wrapped her arms around her in a tight embrace. The little girl buried her face in Taylor's shoulder, the mic still catching the sound of her soft sobs. Taylor pulled back just enough to meet her eyes. "Do you want to sing with me, Lily?" The girl's eyes widened, and the crowd roared with approval, chanting her name like an anthem. Moments later, Lily stood on stage beside Taylor, dwarfed by the towering setup and the ocean of people. The band struck up again, but this time softer, gentler. Taylor knelt beside Lily and began the verse of "Never Grow Up." Her voice cracked, emotion overwhelming her, but Lily's clear, pure voice joined in small but unwavering. The audience held their breath. No phones waved, no cheers interrupted, only tears, only silence, only reverence. When the chorus arrived, Taylor lifted her mic high, letting Lily take the lead. The little girl's voice soared, fragile yet unbreakable. And in that moment, 40,000 strangers became one family, singing not just for themselves but for a little girl and her mother who had once sung together. By the end of the song, Taylor could barely see through her tears. She knelt and kissed Lily's forehead. "This," she whispered, "is why music matters." The stadium erupted in applause that shook the ground. But Taylor didn't care about the spectacle anymore. She cared only about the small hand still gripping hers. As Lily left the stage in her father's arms, Taylor returned to the microphone, wiping her face with the back of her hand. "I want you all to remember Lily tonight," she said, "because sometimes the smallest voices carry the biggest love. And we should never ever stop singing for the people we've lost." The rest of the concert went on, but it was different now, haunted by something beautiful and unforgettable. Fans knew they had witnessed more than a show. They had seen humanity break through the glitter, and for Lily, that night would live forever, not as the night she saw Taylor Swift, but as the night Taylor Swift saw her.